There is $100 billion food industry built entirely on the hope that you will never figure out what I am about to tell you. Every year, we buy more potatoes than any other vegetable on Earth. Yet, almost no one stops to ask a very simple question. Why are we constantly paying for a plant that is genetically designed to multiply itself endlessly for free? The answer is hiding in your kitchen right now. The potatoes sitting in your pantry have been deliberately treated with a chemical herbicide called CIPC. Its sole purpose is to permanently destroy the plant's ability to sprout. The entire system is engineered to ensure your food dies, forcing you to go back to the supermarket week after week. They need you to stay dependent. But while millions of us are trapped in this endless loop of buying and consuming, one quiet community decided to completely opt out. More than 3 centuries ago, they discovered a shockingly simple way to break the cycle, and it starts with a secret that is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about gardening. Let me take you to a quiet farm deep in Holmes County, Ohio. This is where I met a man named Jacob. Jacob is an older Amish farmer. He has the kind of hands that look like they have been working the earth since long before you and I were born. On a crisp spring morning, I stood by his barn and watched a master class in quiet rebellion. Just across the property line, his neighbor was doing what modern agriculture tells us we must do. That man was drenched in sweat, wrestling a heavy rototiller through 30 feet of hard dirt, digging long, exhausting trenches just to plant a single row of potatoes. It is a back-breaking battle against nature. But Jacob was not fighting the soil. He moved without any hurry. He took a simple piece of wire fencing, rolled it into a cylinder no bigger than a kitchen trash can, and layered in some straw and compost. 20 minutes. That is all it took. 20 minutes of calm, deliberate work. And he was completely done for the season. Months later, while that neighbor was breaking his back again to dig up a mediocre harvest from that 30-foot trench, Jacob simply unclasped his wire cylinder. What poured out onto the grass was impossible. From a tiny 4-square-foot footprint, a mountain of flawless potatoes cascaded to the ground. It was an avalanche of food from a space small enough to fit inside your closet. I stood there staring at this mountain of food, realizing that this man had just shattered every rule of modern farming. What exactly did Jacob know that a multi-billion-dollar agricultural science industry is desperately trying to ignore? What Jacob understands, and what modern peer-reviewed biology confirms, is a single fact about how this plant actually grows. It is a fact so incredibly simple, and yet so completely absent from every bag of seed potatoes you have ever bought, that it genuinely made me angry the first time I learned it. I want you to pause and really think about this next sentence. A potato is not a root. Most of us spend our entire lives treating a potato exactly like a carrot or a beet. We dig a hole, we drop the seed deep into the dirt, and we assume all the magic is happening below that seed, pushing down into the dark. But that is not what is happening at all. Botanically speaking, a potato is the swollen, starch-filled end of an underground stem. Scientists call this a stolon. These stolons shoot outward horizontally from the main base of the plant, running just beneath the surface. When the tips of those stems find themselves in total darkness and cool soil, they swell. They transform into new potatoes. And this is where the conventional farming method completely fails you. In a traditional garden, you plant your seed potato and maybe push a little dirt up against the base once or twice. Then you stop. You let the plant grow 2 or 3 feet high into the open air. But all of that green stem sitting above the ground in the sunlight is producing absolutely nothing. You are leaving the vast majority of the plant's food producing potential completely untapped. The Amish wire stack method changes one crucial thing. It keeps burying the stem. Every time the green shoots reach 8 to 10 inches above the surface, Jacob does not let them stay there. He adds another thick layer of straw and compost, burying most of that new growth and plunging it back into the dark. That newly buried stem senses the darkness, the pressure, and the cool moisture. It realizes it is underground again, so it sends out a brand new layer of stolons. You do this 3 or 4 times, and suddenly you are not just growing one layer of potatoes at the bottom. You are forcing the plant to stack level after level of new potatoes, building a vertical tower of food. More buried stem equals more stolons. More stolons equals an avalanche of potatoes from the exact same 4 square feet of ground. You are not hacking nature. You are simply giving the plant exactly what it evolved to do. But before you rush out to the yard to try this, you need to know why 9 out of 10 people who attempt this will fail miserably. It is not about your soil. It is not about how much you water. And it is certainly not about your gardening skills. The reason 9 out of 10 potato towers fail is a quiet disaster that most gardeners never diagnose because nobody ever told them to look for it. It is a trap hidden right on the label of the seed potatoes you buy. Potatoes, just like tomatoes, come in 2 fundamentally different genetic types: determinate and indeterminate. Determinate varieties are genetically programmed to produce all of their tubers in one single layer near the base of the plant. They set their stolons once, they grow their potatoes at one shallow depth, and then they are completely finished. It does not matter how high you build your tower. It does not matter how many layers of beautiful compost and straw you faithfully add week after week. The genetics of that plant were locked in the moment it sprouted. It will never produce a second layer. Hilling a determinate potato is like watering a plastic plant. Absolutely nothing happens. And here is the part that will make your blood boil. The most popular, most widely sold varieties at your local garden center, like Yukon Gold or Red Norland, are almost all determinate. To make the Amish stack method work, you absolutely must use indeterminate varieties. These are late-season plants that are genetically built to keep growing upward. As long as you keep burying their stems, they will keep pushing out new stolons and forming new layers of potatoes. If you want that avalanche of food, you need varieties like Russet Burbank, Kennebec, Elba, or German Butterball. The seed companies who profit from selling you bags of certified seed stock have absolutely zero incentive to print this information on the label in big, clear letters. They know that if you buy a determinate variety, build a 3-foot tower, and only get a handful of potatoes at the very bottom, you will just blame yourself. You will assume you did something wrong, and you will go right back to the store to buy more seeds next spring. Do not let them win. Check the variety. Because if you get this one detail wrong, your beautiful tower will yield nothing but a few pounds of bitter disappointment. Now that you know the secret of the seed, let me show you exactly how to build this structure step by step, using almost no money at all. Take a piece of simple wire fencing, the kind you can find rusting in any old barn, or buy for a few dollars. Roll it into a cylinder about 4 feet wide and tie the ends together. You do not need power tools. You do not need to dig a trench. That wire cage is your entire foundation. Inside the bottom of this cage, pack some loose straw against the edges to form a nest. This keeps the soil from falling out. Then, drop in a 6-inch layer of compost. Now, lay 4 or 5 of your indeterminate seed potatoes directly on that dirt. Make sure the little sprouts, the eyes, are pointing up toward the sky. Cover them with another few inches of compost, give it a heavy drink of water, and walk away. Within a couple of weeks, bright green shoots will push through the dirt. In a normal garden, this is the point where you would simply let them grow. But in the stack method, when those green stems reach about 10 inches high, you are going to do the exact opposite of what feels natural. You are going to bury them. Pour a thick mix of straw and compost right over the top of the plants. You want to bury most of that new green stem in total darkness, leaving only the top 3 or 4 inches of leaves exposed to the sun. Every time the plant grows another 10 inches, you bury it again. You will repeat this cycle 3 or 4 times over the summer. You are literally building a high-rise apartment building for potatoes, level by level, forcing those buried stems to push out new stolons every single time. But there is one silent killer that ruins more towers than anything else: thirst. A wire cylinder exposed to the wind dries out much faster than the solid ground. If you try to water this tower on a rigid schedule, like every Tuesday and Friday, you are going to stress the plant and harvest a bag of twisted, deformed little rocks. You must use the 3-inch finger test. Simply push your finger 3 inches deep into the side of the growing mix. If it feels completely dry at that depth, soak the tower until you see water pooling out the bottom. If it feels wet, leave it alone. Do not invent a schedule. Let the tower tell you what it needs. Keep feeding it water, keep burying the stems, and wait for the final signal. The moment you see flowers blooming on those top vines, your work is done. The flowers mean the plant has stopped building new stems and is now pouring all of its energy into swelling the potatoes hidden in the dark. All you have to do now is wait for the vines to die back and prepare yourself for harvest day. And now we arrive at the moment we have been building toward since the very first second of this video. Harvest day. The vines have turned yellow and died back. In a normal garden, this is the moment you grab a heavy metal shovel and prepare to break your back digging through compacted dirt. But not today. Today, you simply walk up to your wire tower and unhook the clasps. Step back. The entire vertical column of straw and dirt collapses onto the earth. And tumbling out onto the grass is the reward. Potatoes from every single layer. Potatoes from every buried stem you patiently covered over the summer. You will watch 50, maybe 60 pounds of flawless food spill out from a 4-square-foot circle. No digging, no sifting through hard clay. Just an absolute avalanche of calories resting right on the surface. I did this with my 7-year-old granddaughter a few years ago. She watched this mountain of food roll across the lawn, looked up at me completely seriously, and asked, "Grandpa, are we rich now?" And in that exact moment, I realized the absolute truth. We were, because true wealth is not a dollar amount. True wealth is total independence. And this is exactly why the agricultural giants desperately want to keep you in the dark. Think about what you just accomplished. You grew months' worth of food in the space of an armchair. But here is the ultimate secret they really do not want you to realize. If you take the best 5 or 6 potatoes from this massive harvest, put them in a cool, dark place, and replant them next spring, you never have to buy a seed potato again. Ever. You have permanently exited their supply chain. You no longer need their chemically treated grocery store produce. You no longer need their bags of synthetic fertilizer. You have effectively made their entire $100 billion industry irrelevant to your life. And to a system built on your constant dependence, a permanent solution to your food supply is a catastrophic threat. There is a word at the very center of the Amish way of life: Gelassenheit. It does not translate perfectly into English, but it means yielding to the natural order. It means surrendering the modern urge to control, to chemically dominate, and to force nature into tidy little rows. Instead, it is the quiet practice of asking what the living thing in front of you actually needs to thrive. Jacob said it best on that crisp spring morning. The plant knows exactly what to do. We just have to give it the room to do it. The industrial seed and chemical companies built an empire on the assumption that you will never bother to learn what the plant actually needs. They bet billions of dollars against your curiosity. They want you to stay tired, frustrated, and dependent. It is time to prove them wrong. Take your food supply back into your own hands this season. Which indeterminate potato variety are you going to track down for your very first tower? Are you going to hunt for a classic russet Burbank? Or maybe try the German butterball? Leave a comment down below and tell me your plan, because I read every single one. And if this story changed the way you look at your garden, hit that subscribe button right now. Because in our next video, we are unearthing an ancient classified black soil secret from the Amazon that the synthetic fertilizer industry is absolutely terrified you will discover. You have the power to grow your own independence. I will see you in the next one.